Hey guys, what you're about to watch is a clip from Journo Insight with Neil Jones. Me and Neil discussing Liverpool's midfield, Jurgen's comments about not understanding the clamour for a midfielder from the fans, but also how that relates to the links to Tchouaméni and Bellingham as well. Really good, fascinating conversation. If you want to watch the whole show, it is streaming over on Redmen Plus. So yeah, check out this clip and then get involved. When Jurgen was asked about midfielders, I love his quote of, "I do not understand." I'm just going to... So basically, he doesn't get it. Like, why is everyone talking about midfielders? He went, "I don't understand. People told me about this discussion, but the last thing that would have crossed my mind is that we have to do this, which is sign a midfielder. I know all these things, that we don't score enough goals from midfield and all that, but what do you want? The golden cow that is producing absolutely everything, milk as well." And then he lists all the players. It's a really good quote. But then let's stop there on the first part. Is that this and what Liam's point is? Does it kind of conflict with the fact that we think that they wanted Tchouaméni? So Liam's asked, like, what do you make of Klopp saying he's not looking to buy a midfielder, but early reports suggested he did want Tchouaméni, and he said himself Bellingham was not on the market, which we'll come to, suggesting there might have been an inquiry there as well. So why is he telling us we're not looking to buy one when we think he might have been looking to buy one?
Yeah, I think it does conflict. I think the other point really is that he's right when he goes through and talks about all the players, but he only lists the positive side to those players. So I could flip that to him and say, well, let's go through them. So you go, Fabinho, top player, yeah, right in his peak, great. Jordan Henderson played a lot of games last season, but 32 now. You know, okay, you're looking at...
And he had a very up and down season.
Succession plan, yeah, definitely had some poor games. James Milner, 1 year contract, 36, you know, doesn't start many games. Naby's doubts we've talked about. You're looking at Oxlade-Chamberlain, you know, didn't play at all last 2 months of the season, and you would argue probably his best football came when he wasn't playing in midfield, when he was playing in January out in the forward line. Thiago, injuries, you know, great player, obviously integral when he's available and fit, but again, wrong side of 30. Harvey Elliott, fantastic potential, great young player, but 19 potential. You know, we haven't yet seen him. We've seen him for a few games at the start of last season. He looked fantastic. You know, great. You know what? I'll give you him as a sort of right. I don't need to sign a Harvey Elliott type player. Curtis Jones, doubts about him. I think he's got huge potential, but he hasn't yet delivered consistently on that. Naby, as we talked about, Fabio Carvalho, was the other one, wasn't he? Yeah. Unknown quantity, and I think a lot of people at Liverpool think he's eventually going to play a line higher anyway. So you've got 9 players there, but how many of them do you say, I know exactly what I'm going to get from them for the next 3-4 years?
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. We'll get back to the show shortly. Just want to give you guys a heads up about Last Fan Standing, the show that Paul is off and on, although he wasn't on it this week. Instead, Flav had a great conversation with George, all about Chelsea, Raheem Sterling, are Chelsea now serious contenders to Liverpool? Check out this clip, and then once you finish watching the entire video, do go over to Last Fan Standing and check out the entire show.
With this team, you know, Mendy, De Ligt, Silva, Ake, you got the fullbacks of Chilwell and James, Kante and Kovacic as well. It feels like you need cover there. And obviously up top, Mount, Havertz and Sterling. 10th.
No, there's absolutely no way. Can you genuinely look at that 11 and tell me that is the 10th best team in the Premier League? You're surely not. So who's finishing ahead of them then? You putting Leicester ahead of them as well?
9 other teams probably, definitely.
No, Flav. I really don't think you can justify this one. You just didn't.
Where are you going to finish then?
At this moment, based on the business we've currently done, I actually think, if I'm being realistic, 5th. Good. I do think we're going to miss out.
I'll take that.
But I think that we will sign players, and then my mind will change. But as of right now, it's been such a difficult start to the window, because as much as I've tried to be optimistic, I'm like, until they're actually there, we have got such a shoestring squad now. So, what to do?
Yet there you go, this week's Last Fan Standing show is available now. Click on the link in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to them as well. Go and check it out right after you finish watching the rest of my conversation with Neil Jones. If you could guarantee that Fab, Thiago, Hendo and Naby all stay fit and played well, then he's right. I'm with you. Is that the ceilings are very high on those players, but pretty much all of them, bar Fabinho, although his injury record isn't exactly spotless, the floor can be quite low as well. Like if you get Jordan Henderson, that period after the derby, before the derby was it, when he had a real dip, and again, I think he had played a lot of footy and he's been run to the ground. If you get James Milner that plays against Chelsea away, he was really poor. If you get James Milner who ends the season, he was brilliant. Same with all these lads. The floor, the variance is very high, and I get his point. I think a lot of people, and I'm in this boat as well. It's like you could do one, or you could just nail your at. So you could deal with another Fabinho. Obviously, it's weird when you say this because then you talk about a 19-year-old kid, Jude Bellingham, but like again, that's a talent thing more than an age thing, and he's an older 19. He's an older 19 than Harvey Elliott in that he's played footy more. You know, he's established himself in a big league. Harvey has yet to do that. Let's move on to Jude Bellingham. When he was asked the whole team, he says he's not on the market. So that's the first problem. In fact, that's the only problem with that player. And then asks if he's going to do any more business. He went, no, I can say that. I don't think something will happen unless somebody comes and says I want to go. That bit's interesting because I wouldn't be shocked if Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain knocks on the door at some point. But I think that's the question is that it does feel that we are getting a little bit of mixed messages here because no, I don't want anyone. But we did kind of want that lad who went to Real Madrid. Oh, and by the way, we have asked about the England international who's in Germany. I can see why people are like pulling Jurgen up a little bit on this.
Well, but then you could also say, well, is Klopp saying, I don't understand the urgency. I don't understand the sort of, it has to happen now. You know, of course, Jude Bellingham is in everyone's thoughts because Jude Bellingham's Jude Bellingham. You know, he's elite level potential talent if he's not already there. But I think Jurgen's point maybe is like, look, for now, we're fine. You know, yeah, in a year's time, when he's listing the players, then Oxlade-Chamberlain's probably gone. You know,
Milner might be gone.
Milner's obviously going to be going. You might be in a position where Curtis Jones is looking, and you say, well, no, actually, we're gonna sort of cut our ties there, and we're going to give him a chance to go and play.
Naby's still hasn't got a contract.
Yeah, Naby's still not got a contract. You know, Carvalho might have just established himself. No, he plays up forward. You know, Harvey might have gone and sort of started playing in a number 10 or that kind of thing. So there's probably more unknowns, a lot more unknowns in 12 months' time than now. But I still see the debate. I think it's a fair debate to have. I think Liverpool have got numbers, but I don't think they've got the reliability in that area than they have in other areas, certainly. But we saw last season, didn't we? You know, Liverpool played it safe last season with 5 centre-backs and none of them got injured really throughout the whole season. You might have the same in midfield this year. It might just be one of them where they're all just available, they're all playing well, they're all rotating and doing it, and the argument's forgotten by December.
Yeah, I suppose.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely, that'd be the ideal. I suppose the thinking, and again, we get loads on our socials and stuff, and I might as well address it now, is that like, why does it have to be Bellingham? Why can't it just, like, for example, Barella's an English one about, you were in for Tchouaméni. It feels to me like he's happy with what he's got unless he can get like the exceptional player, and maybe he just like maybe Tchouaméni and Bellingham are the only two we thought I'll make exceptions for them. We just want them. It isn't a case of Jurgen wanting a midfielder. Yeah. If he can get someone who's really good. Like again, I go back to it. I don't think I ever believe it, but like if Alisson wasn't on the market, there was a chance he wouldn't have signed the goalie. There's a chance that he might have just cracked on with Danny Ward and Loris Karius and got on with it because he only went for that. He was happy, but the exceptional player came on the market. We saw him do this with Virgil as well. It can be quite frustrating as a fan because you're almost saying, you're admitting there's a fault, you're admitting you want somebody, but you're just not going and get number 4, 5, 6 on your list. You're only waiting for 2. It's worked out well for them for the most part. It almost bit them in the arse a little bit with the Ibu Konate stuff. Well, it did, because we ended up playing 2 midfielders as centre-half. But I suppose that's where the frustration can come from, is that if you're saying your actions are saying you would quite like a new midfielder, if he's boss, then there must be more than 2 boss midfielders on the planet who Liverpool could sign. I suppose that's where the frustration comes. Possibly,
but then you look and say, well, you buy anyone. You just say, well, we need a midfielder. We need a big, tall midfielder. I think Klopp's mentioned something. We need a 1.95 meter midfielder who can arrive. I think he was talking about Thomas Soucek. That's who it sounded like he saw, didn't he? We need a midfielder who's going to come in and head the ball. They're not going to do that. You end up with more Oxlade-Chamberlains than Fabinho's. You end up with the sort of squad players who you're saying, well, yeah, he's all right, but really he's not quite good enough. So Liverpool have worked hard to get to the stage where Oxlade-Chamberlain's your 8th choice midfielder or your 7th choice, and Joe Gomez is your 4th choice centre back. And I do think it's sometimes it's underrated how hard it is to play for Liverpool. You look at players like Dejan Lovren, the sort of stick that they maybe got, and Adam Lallana. think about how good players they must have been to be around that Liverpool squad. The players in that position now are Curtis Jones, Joe Gomez, Costa Tsimikas, Oxlade-Chamberlain, like I say. Firmino's sort of fallen almost into that role of fourth or fifth choice striker. That's a high level of player that you've got to get. You can't just. I think it does stand to reason that there'd only be a couple that you would think could just come straight in and disrupt that, as opposed to maybe in the past where you could go, do you know what, there's sort of 20 there that would improve on what we've got here with whoever it was who was fourth choice centre midfielder. The level of the squad's gone up, so that should mean that the level or the precision of the targets should go up as well. But Liverpool won't just have one in mind. I don't think it's Bellingham or bust necessarily. They'll have alternatives that they look at, whether it's now or in 12 months' time. And yeah, we'll see what they do. But I think it's clear. Look, listen, if he's saying the same thing in 12 months' time, either something's gone very, very right with Liverpool in terms of
Fabio Carvalho or Harvey Elliott are brilliant.
Or Naby's just absolutely
smashed it. Yeah.
Just smashed it and just turned into the Leipzig Naby. Or I think people will be saying, "Oh, come on, yeah, you're selling us a dummy here."
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to the Tchouaméni stuff again, he referenced before, I've sat down with players and I've known they're on the phone with other teams and stuff. I don't know how far things ever got with Tchouaméni, by the way, who knows, it might have been an inquiry or whatever, but again, that's there as well. Like, if there are these other lads, I don't think Jurgen would want to be someone else's second choice either. Like, do you want to play for Liverpool? Well, I'm in talks with Inter Milan and AC Milan or whatever. Maybe that's going on because with all these lads as well, whereas it doesn't feel like that might be the case with example, Jude Bellingham. It looks like that isn't the case right now anyway. Yeah,
I mean, he did say, to be fair, Jurgen did say, I haven't had that for a while.
For a while, yeah.
I haven't had that for a while.
Yeah,
so that probably, I don't think he was referring to a Tchouaméni.
I think Gates was the one who was...
I mean, that's the impression I got. He didn't say it out loud, but that was I always remember that story about, it was the quote from him, it's about, we don't want people who want to jump on the train, we want people who want to help push it. About being in the Champions League, I think that was. So I think Liverpool have moved away from that thing where they've got to do the sort of the show parade, and they've got to come
like pitching on Dragon's Den, like come and sign for us,
like or outside the bar in Magaluf, come on in here, we'll give you 3 shots, But I think Liverpool have moved past that. But it'll be interesting to see what they do at midfield. I think the Henderson replacement long term is the one that they need to look at. Not necessarily the same type of player or the same type of character, but someone who's going to be in your midfield for sort of the best part of a decade. I think
is it the lad from Sporting Lisbon? Is it Nunes?
Matheus
Nunes. He was the latest one I've heard. Again, there's nothing concrete in that. It doesn't. I don't know.
I think Liverpool and Portugal is just going to be a very hot source of rumours, isn't it? But yeah, I actually spoke to João Virginia, he's just left Everton to go to Canberra, but he was on loan at Sporting Lisbon last season. I just asked him, said, because I think Fulham have just signed João Palhinha from there, and he's next. And he said he'll play in the Premier League. Matheus Nunes, definitely. So interesting to see where he rocks up, but I couldn't say I've seen him play, so I couldn't say whether he fits into.
If he's any good, yeah. But it was one of those where he was linked to our 4 different teams, yeah. But I don't know if there's any in them.
He certainly got a good reputation.
Yeah, we'll see how that one all pans out. Yeah, I found it really interesting to tie about one is the fact that we all do. I think we all trust this team, and everyone trusts Liverpool. Speaking as a fan, about my personal opinion, but it's and I think that's the point Liam made to me yesterday. It was like, it's hard to really get your head around. Like, it's hard to get inside the thinking of Liverpool, which is good. You don't want to be completely open book. But yeah, sometimes what is said publicly it kind of can contradict. Can that be frustrating as a journalist, or you got to accept that's kind of the job?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, if you look at them quotes, that was
it's definitive.
As he's saying that quote, you're thinking this is going to cause a lot of interest and a lot of debate and a lot of excitement. Excitement, the opposite of excitement, probably.
Fume scrolling.
Yeah, but like it's what you want, isn't it? If he just says, look, when we've got something to say, we'll say, and you'll be the first to know if you buy a player. The Dalglish sort of way of dealing with the media. Yeah, that's a much more difficult. At least he engaged on it. He was literally asked about Bellingham and give an answer. He could have said, Jude Bellingham doesn't play for us. We don't speak about Jude Bellingham. He tells you what he thinks, doesn't he? Basically,
the only thing wrong.
If he was on the market, we would love to sign him. That's what he's basically said, isn't it, in his quotes?
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to continue the conversation, then head over to Redmen Plus, join as a club legend and get access to our Discord chat. It's got us in and it's got loads of amazing like-minded Reds. There's a no knob policy in there, so where you won't have that on social media, you will have it over on the Redmen Plus Discord. It's full of sound people. Come and join us.